You guys can stay unmuted if you want to be able to chime in on anything. Just kind of pause and wait for a moment to give a chance for everybody to hear it. And it being 5:37 technical time, I'll call the meeting of the Carver Redevelopment Authority to order on January 12th, 2021. The first thing I'd like to do is introduce and welcome our newest member, Pat Maher. He comes to us from the FinCom, and he was appointed in a joint appointment by the RDA and the Select Board last week, and we welcome him to his first meeting. And our old new member, Paul Costas, I think this might be your first official meeting with us.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. Yep. As well, and he was appointed a month ago. So welcome, glad to have you. Feel free to ask any questions. If you have anything of any particular interest, you can call either me or Savory or Joanna or Jim. We're all well-versed, some more than others, and in the projects that we've got ongoing, and we'd be more than happy to bring you up to speed.
Great.
I had a couple of emails this week with George McLaughlin and Bob Delholm with the Route 44 project. And we talked about them coming in for an update at this meeting, but we wanted to make sure that both Pat and Paul are as up to date as they possibly can be. Pat, have you had a chance to see the November 10th meeting yet?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's also things on the RDA website at the town of Carver for some plans. I have some books and things, so if there's anything you want to know otherwise, I thought we'd bring them in, preferably when we're meeting in person again, so that they can, do like a maps and things that we might be able to see a little bit better. He said they have a couple of updates, but nothing pressing. So I was thinking of putting them off until about April, unless you have something you want to see ahead of time.
That's fine. April's fine.
Everybody good with April? Assuming we can meet in person.
Let's hope.
Yeah, I know. Hey, some of us will be in that phase 2 section coming up, so looking for my shot pretty soon. So the only other thing that we have next is ongoing projects. As always, it's the same group. Jim, is there anything you want to report on? First off, did everybody get Jim's second email today with the
Yes.
4th Street update?
Yes.
And the information that he sent out? Joanna, did you get it?
No, well, to be honest with you, I don't know what email he sent it to.
Yeah, Joanna's stuff has to go to both her Carver MA and her Comcast. Joanna, I'll forward this on to you to make sure you get it.
All right, great, thanks. Yep, thanks.
But I'll let Jim explain what he has for us, and anybody who doesn't have it, I'll make sure you get it.
All right, great.
Looks like it went to your Comcast, Joanna.
Okay.
Okay.
I apologize. I haven't been on it at all today.
That's okay. Jim, do you want to go through it?
Sure. So what I did, we've been advertising this for a while. And so what I did, I just kind of printed it out, just reviewed it. Oh, I got a change already I got to make. Oh no, I put the right date in. Oh, I'm sorry. So this is just the description for the property at 94th Street. If anyone sees new buildings going up right at the corner of North Main and Forest Street, it's to the left of the Nutrient building, which is being constructed right now. And so I think it's a good time to kind of get it back out and advertise, because now there's activity around the property. And then previously, Joanna had recommended that we put a sign out there. So I don't know if the board would like.
I gotta find Sign by Design. If you know what his number is, the person that owns the business, I'd appreciate that. I've been there twice and nobody. This is where Rebuild X's and so forth. I've been there twice, but no one's there.
All right, I'll check with Peter Allegrini on that. He owns it.
I need a phone number, and I could just personally call him if I could have a phone number.
Okay, because basically, Paul and Pat, what we're talking about is putting up, first off, Pat, do you know where the property is that we're talking about?
Yes.
You know where the Quickies is and the new buildings? Okay, and we're to the left of that, directly opposite Quickies. And Carver Redevelopment Authority is in possession of a piece of property there that we can market and sell. You may remember this was part of your discussion at the select board meeting, properties that we're in charge of. And this is the one we have. We've had some difficulty selling it. We're under a particular kind of constraints of what we can do to sell it. But we've come up with the idea that maybe a sign would help. So just a Town of Carver for sale, and then we need to come up with a phone number or a web address or something where somebody in email, assumably Jim's, can reach the planning department to inquire about it. I was thinking, yes, Pat.
Oh, I don't want to interrupt you. I was just,
Go ahead.
I want to know as far as the advertising goes and so forth, and when I go back to my old working days and so forth, everything had to go through, everything that dealt with the town or the schools had to go out to bid. It had to go through certain websites, had to go through, trying to think of exactly what it was. Is that the case with this committee also? Does that have to follow those state guidelines?
We have disposition guidelines, meaning we can't necessarily hire Century 21 or Remax or another broker to sell the property, but we have money at our disposal to help initiate that, but we don't have to go out to bid for a sign, but we do have to pay it back to ourselves. And I can go over all of that with you. I can send you some information on disposal, and you too, Paul, on disposal of properties, what we're bound by.
Right.
But we're certainly allowed to put up a sign. Right now, we can only advertise on what's called the Central Registry.
Oh, the Central Register, that was it.
Register. And that doesn't generate as much traffic as we'd like, but maybe now with the businesses, as Jim says, with the businesses going up over on that section, that one little acre might be a little more, attractive to somebody to put up something. So we'd like to just put up a sign letting people know that if they're wondering who owns that piece of property next to the new buildings, we do. And we'd really like to get rid of it. I mean, we have to pay back the taxes that are owed to it, and the other money's owed to the town first. So it's not like the RDA will keep any of this. But yeah, I'll get in touch with Peter about a sign, and I would think maybe in April-ish, kind of gearing towards the spring, I think, on some things. Is there any other discussion about the sign or the Fuller Street property?
Do you want to send me his phone number, and I can contact him and get that job done?
I will do that.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, Jim.
I put in the chat, Sign by Design and their phone number.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Paul.
Oh, great.
I think the sign is a great idea, and as I was going back through the, let's say, copious documents available on the town website for the RDA, which was great because I was able to see a lot of things, I noted that it looked like at least somebody had put in what seemed to be an offer or an agreement to purchase some years ago, but that apparently hasn't happened, and sounds like there's been other challenges like you've noted. So we don't need to take all the time here for everybody else, but that is something I'd like to hear about at some point. Just what are the constraints, challenges, what's keeping it from moving forward?
I'll send you a PDF that was provided to us by the town law firm on getting rid of our responsibilities on getting rid of the different types of ways you can sell property that's town owned or owned by the RDA. And I can give you a background on some of the things that went through. Originally, it was sold, and then that wasn't necessarily a legal sale of some kind. And there was some T's that were not crossed and I's that were not dotted. But the property's still available. So
Yeah, I think basically it does come down to the fact that if there is a lot of interest, it does have to be a bidding process. Is that correct?
yeah,
There has to be a bidding process. We are not, we set a price that we are hoping to get. We're not bound to that price if someone doesn't bid that high. But we do have to have it out there for, I think we've decided on 90 days, right? When we put it out there?
Originally.
right. Jim has a date of March 31st, a due date for what he's putting out on the Central Register.
All right, so that's approximately
So that's
33
90
months.
days.
And
Yeah.
then we look at whatever, if any bids come in, we look at them and make
Right.
our next move.
Sounds good.
I have
Uh,
1 second, Sharon. I have a correction. I'm looking at the printout. It says January 31st, 2020. Am I looking at the wrong printout?
That's the commercial land for sale, 94th Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the wrong one. So there's, hold it. Oh, revised January 12th, 2021.
Okay, so I was just on the website a couple days ago. You just changed it?
Yes,
Oh, this
Oh, you
is
did?
no.
right.
Okay.
This is for discussion, and then if the board wants me to repost it on the town website, we can do that.
Okay, we can do that then. Does the board want him to repost it on the town website as up to date?
I'll make a motion that we ask the town planner to post the sale notice on the town website.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? There being none, that passes. And Jim, if you could just repost that for us. And the posting includes the documentation you provided, the zoning board decision, and all of that, all is in the same package.
Right, so we have the
Okay,
property card, the map and lot, and the zoning decision. And then the question, another question, just to double check, asking price 175, everyone okay with that?
I think that's what we voted
Yeah.
last time.
Okay.
I have a question, Sharon. When you talked about the money, we went through the registry of deeds. Is that the one he's talking about, that you had approached the zoning board?
We did. That's been over a year now since we got the variance that we needed for the frontage.
Is that what he's talking about, though? He's going to have that information available as
decision-
well?
Will be attached because anyone who does their due diligence might realize that it doesn't have the frontage that it needs for building, but we've already taken
Right.
care of that. We'll
Right.
need to renew that, but I think right now under COVID, we've been given quite a bit of leeway.
Right.
So maybe in the spring.
Oh, okay.
Everything happens in the spring. Is there anything else? Jim, do you have anything on the urban renewal project other than they said they'd come in later?
Yeah, no, nothing right now.
I have a question. It's somewhat related to urban renewal. On Route 3 between old exits 6 and 7, between Samoset Street and 44, there's a big warehouse being built behind Lowe's.
Really?
Do we know what that is?
Where is
And-
that? Salmon?
Right off 3. It's behind the Kingston Lowe's.
Oh.
But it's a huge warehouse.
Oh.
And the only reason I'm asking is I'm trying to find out approximately how big that is as a way to figure out what Route 44 development is thinking of in terms of size.
I want to say that's Amazon.
Okay.
It is, yeah. I think it's in,
I really think Amazon latched into that parcel.
yeah, it's in both
um,
Plymouth and Kingston, I think.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
like,
Amazon.
It is Amazon. Okay.
yeah, it's
I
right,
think so.
right in a big industrial section that they hadn't done a lot with yet, and they sat on it for a bit.
Right.
but I want to say it's Amazon.
Okay, so maybe I can find out how big that's going to be by looking up Amazon.
I'm looking.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find some plans on it.
So
I'm
Madam
seeing
Chair,
145,000 square foot.
Oh, really?
How much?
Is here 145,000.
Wow. And Route 44 was talking about 900,000, right? Or a million.
They said maximum build out is 1 million or just under 1 million. That's
Yeah,
maximum.
that's five.
That was maximum on 3 buildings or so.
That's 5 times bigger.
So we
Okay.
have plenty of room for Amazon.
Somebody forgot to tell them
Just-
about us.
They could share a building with Target.
Okay, but there was nothing. They said they would update us in around April, and I think we can probably wait on that. Is there anything else? Yes, Pat.
I'd just like to, if somebody could, within like a minute or two, one of the things I've been interested in is these developers for the big parcel there. How did that all begin? And, did they just come in and start buying up a bunch of parcels? Was that something that was a formalized process? Or how did that all, I'd like to know how that all began. If that can be like in a quick Cliff Notes version.
I'm looking at Savory or Joanna.
Joanna,
Progress when
I was not a member yet when this started.
I was.
Yes, I knew you were.
The then town administrator, Mike Malinsky, apparently knew more George, and the recommendation was, geez, that's vacant land. It's been cleaned up. It's just sitting there. Boy, that would be something good to do. So he invited George, and George is the only one that came that night to express his interest and to create an urban renewal plan. All brand new to us. And he came in with monies, deep pockets, expressed, all what would come back to Carver. That he also told us we had no obligation. We would not be sued for anything. Everything was totally, all the bills and everything were totally theirs. He also told us that we would get a start of $40,000. He put in, and I'm the treasurer, so I opened up the account. He went about, hired his own, I don't know the girl's name at that particular time, to create the plan. And it was, I think she got over 20,000 just to create it. We agreed to it. And as we went on, we had a lot of meetings, all of which were public. And a big problem became with eminent domain, they thought. Also, the Plimpton people were very argumentative and gave us a lot of problems. We plowed through it. It went on and on and on and on. But we did. I don't know what time Savory came aboard to listen to any of these meetings. But we proud ourselves, and we made sure that as a committee, we would not go eminent domain, and we did not. We also wanted to make sure that all of those parcels of people that lived in those homes along Montello Street were approached and given the proper market value, and they were. In fact, they were not only given the proper market value, he even gave them extra money and moved them or wherever and found homes for them as well. So all of that was really went over well for us.
Okay, that's good. But now from watching the last couple of meetings and so forth, you've got a developer that's obviously putting a ton of money into this thing and has some motivation and desire to do something, yet there's a reluctance to say what that is.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're in private negotiations. And I don't think it's our business just yet until they bring it to us. So we haven't pushed them on who are you talking about. They had identified one,
They've got one.
close developer and one, kind of peripheral that they were talking to. But I think it kind of waits to see how it kind of washes out. They had to get through the land acquisition, and they have one parcel left that was kind of the holdout.
Yeah.
And that one, they said would come to fruition in the next month or so. And then I think they can go forward, but I'm just guessing from what he said at the meeting in November that, COVID took somewhat of a setback, and they might have had to redesign their plan, but I think their original plan is going forward in some format.
So is there any way, and does the town have any final say on what actually ends up there?
Yes, we do.
Well, the redevelopment authority and the planning board, certainly, it's
Yeah.
got to go through site plan review.
Mhm.
So
Or
it all depends on what the final, presentation is, where it goes.
Yeah, let me just expand a little bit on what Joanna said. That property, before, that used to be the North Carver dump. And then it was declared a brownfield, I believe, by the
Yep.
state, the Commonwealth EPA.
Yes.
And the former owners and the state had to come in and clean it up. And for a long time, it did not get a clean bill of health. There was still water contamination, which is why North Carver has their own water now, because they can't use wells. So it wasn't until the EPA gave the green light that property had been cleared and passed all of the regulatory benchmarks for safety that the property again became somewhat valuable again. And it started with one large parcel, which was known as the Whitworth property.
Whitworth, yeah.
And I think they came in and they looked at that first. And their initial plans were to see what they could do with that parcel alone. And I believe it was about 145 acres, something around there. As they started to develop their plans even more and look at the infrastructure involved with Montello Street and getting trucks out to Route 58 and onto 44, they realized that they needed to get more property. They needed to expand their footprint. And that's where all of a sudden the homeowners and the property owners in the neighborhood were contacted. And unfortunately, someone at a meeting mentioned eminent domain at one point because this was backed by the Commonwealth that through their urban development bylaws, I guess you could say, because it was considered a blighted area. So that gave a little bit more leeway for what people could do. And all it took was one mention of it being eminent domain, and the whole focus of the project changed.
Yeah.
It wasn't the focus about how good this could be for Carver. It wasn't about creating jobs. It wasn't creating about payment of taxes without the added burden of not burden, but there are no children for a commercial.
Right.
No,
none of the big infrastructure.
Bigger schools.
Yeah.
The whole focus of the entire situation became involved around the eminent domain, and that's about the time that I started on this board. So I don't believe that the initial plan included all those properties. I think as the plan developed, it became obvious or evident that they needed to get these properties to do the kind of job that they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Good.
They bought the initial property about 7 or 8 years ago at foreclosure, and then they've been adding the addition of the peripheral properties since, developing this much larger plan that we're seeing today. I think their goal is to have it come to some kind of fruition this year.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
and one other thing I just want to add, you asked Pat about who's moving in. They don't want to identify any potential clients because they're concerned, and rightfully so, that another town can come in with a better deal.
I understand
And
that.
they made the developers have made clear from the very start that they're not going to build on spec. They're not going to turn a shovel full of earth to start building till they have a tenant.
Mhm.
So it's not that this big eyesore is going to be built and just sit empty and looking for someone to use it.
And there's also going to be that could be something that they could, when they do have something solid, they could build it and then sell it, or then build it and then lease it.
No, they're selling it.
It would just be a sale.
They had mentioned at the meeting on the 10th that some of the discussions they were having might be with a developer who wanted to build their own, come in and build it themselves to their own specifications. So I think this, like I say, I think there's, like Saber says, there's a couple of things moving around right now, but their intent is not to put up a massive warehouse and say, now I built it, see who comes, and nobody comes.
Okay.
Which the town would be against, because then we would probably end up with a tax foreclosed property with a giant concrete pad on it.
Yeah.
So this is a case of the RDA is looking out for the town, and the planning board will be looking out for the development. And it really should be a really cooperative effort to turn into something that could really benefit the town financially out on industrial wasteland.
Mm-hmm. Good, thank you.
Anything else, Jim?
Just want to let you know that we received another $100,000 check from Route 44 Development. They've been working steadily on the design. VHB is the design consultant that's designing the redesign of the intersection for Route 44 and Montello Street. We're making progress on that. We do have to, we're having a meeting, I believe it's on Wednesday, Thursday, kind of a conference call. We have to do a quarterly report, and apparently there was a little bit of lag due to COVID and getting the contract out for the design work that caused a little bit of delay in the schedule. So we're going to meet with MassWorks, our contract manager, and with VHB, and looking to do an amendment to the schedule.
Okay.
All right.
That way, on top of that, we don't want to jeopardize the contract. So, but VHB gave me kind of a schedule. They thought they would have all the work, or they gave me their work plus the proposed construction schedule, and they thought it would be completed before the end of 2021.
Okay. And that's the intersection part, right?
Right. The intersection and
Yeah.
completed.
Pat and Paul, are you aware that the state granted Carver a very large grant last year for the intersection work?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. Does anyone have any questions for what Jim has reported?
No.
No. We can move on to the treasurer's report.
Okay, pretty simple. Patrick, I'm very simple when I do anything, so
Hey,
I'd like to keep it that way, but you know, we could elect you as treasurer. That's not a problem.
there's nothing wrong with that. No.
Okay. So let me just report for the whole entire year here. We have, in our checking account, we ended up with $640.59. We have a money market account that's $29,321.71. Now, I'm going to tell you that the money market account is, we opened up, Patrick, or Pat, because in the early days, in 2006, when we started, we acquired land from the town, the rules were very different then for us as we knew them, and we hired a real estate person and we sold those properties. Those properties went back to the town, and we acquired money as well with an MOU. And so we kept building up, building up, building up.
Mhm.
The next entry there, and oh, by the way, that next entry is the revolving line of 30,000. We've had that since just about day one, and we keep it at 30. We've used it once, and we paid up. And we were using it because we acquired the school, the old Ben Ellis School, and we needed some monies to repair that and keep it going. So you probably remember that if you were on the school.
Well,
school
I was in the school department a couple of different times. I remember back in the 90s when I was first with the school department with Ben Ellis and opening that up. And I remember I was doing a project down there that put a new roof on there.
Well, it came to a point where the school was spending $25,000 a year, and they
Right.
realized that was that was money, and
Yep.
they weren't going to be doing anything with the school, and
Right.
they wanted to get rid of it.
I remember.
We were approached. Could we do something? And we said, "Oh, absolutely! That we want that. We're going to keep it going," and we did do it. And the story as it goes on, where it is today. And I'm sure earlier, when you realized it was a boys and girls club that was opened up.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Griffith, he was the man who came and bought it and put it all together. He put it all together, spent a lot of money on it. And as time went on, it didn't, townspeople were not too happy putting money towards rent and things like that. So there was some problems, and they moved out. It then got sold. Mr. Griffith sold it to that, I believe it's Cabinet Design. I think they're still there.
Yeah, kitchen design.
And you're right, they're keeping it going. And so that's the story there. But we still keep the 30,000 open.
Good.
The next one is the urban renewal plan, which it started at the grand sum of 40,000. As I told you, through the years, it's been what? How many years, Sharon? You seem to know the exact time.
I've only been on the RDA 2 years, so it predates that. But Pat, every time that the RDA is going to incur any costs related to Route 44, they reimburse us or reimburse the town.
Okay.
So the town's expended no money on any kind of testing or site plans or things like that.
Mhm.
So they give us money for plans when we need them, and what else? You're the holder of the funds. So.
Yeah, appraisals too.
The appraisals when we need
the appraisals, right? We have it. It's documented, and I don't know. I don't have the documentation. I'd have to go back to the town administrator. Was any of this information passed over to our town administrator today from Mike Milanowski? But it is written up that I think it has to stay around 2,500, and anything below that they have to replenish.
Right.
That's never been an issue. I mean, they've always been very good about giving us the money for whatever expenses we had. So today we have $7,557.61 in there. If you turn it over, I guess mine is the second page. There's a little bit of interest that's being paid. On the money market account in total this year, we got $41.31. On the renewal side, because it's a savings, it's very you don't get anything. So in total, we got $91. 91 cents. That's it. So Pat, now that you're aboard, we have to do an audit. I shouldn't say we have to. We did have to, but the bank sent me some information and said they didn't need it anymore. But to be honest with you, it's an outside. Her name is Valerie Verasso, and we've used her for, I don't know, all these years. And I give her the information that she needs, and she puts it all together. The cost to us, I think, is around 300 or
Yeah.
350 for the year.
Mhm.
And then I pass it over to the bank, Rockland Trust. They go over it, look at it, and approve it, and usually send me a letter. For whatever reason, I didn't question them because of COVID. I never really questioned them this year why that they said I didn't have to do it. But I was thinking about that today, and knowing that we have new people on board, I'm planning on calling them up or physically going in there to ask them, was that truly a change of mind, and what did that mean? I'd like to continue it because it's clear. It gives us a clear understanding that we've been audited. We're above the board, so to speak.
I think we can never go wrong with investing in honesty and integrity and being able to show the papers that prove that.
Exactly.
Joanna, I have to do a end of the year report for the town report for the RDA. Have you ever done end of the year treasurer's report for the RDA?
No, but I didn't. Way back when, Will St. Clair never liked to do any of that stuff. He told me I had to do it, and I was looking at some of the things that I had put in there. At that particular time, we were selling property, and we handed it all back, and we've given over $500,000 back to the town, easy. And then it stopped. Nobody asked us to do that anymore, so I didn't volunteer. We kind of, went back and so forth. But if somebody's asking you to do it,
the town clerk asked me to submit our end of the year RDA report, and I didn't know if you did any kind of a wrap up end of the year treasurer's report. Savory, have you ever done that?
No. But she could surely get the audit report. That's very clear, very understanding. If they want to know,
I don't think we've done it, and I think probably that was along the lines of the fact that this is not really town taxpayers' money. That it's come from other sources. It's not part of the town budget.
Okay.
And that it would just confuse people seeing dollar amounts under the RDA and trying to find it in the big chart at the end of town meeting.
Well, that's true. I can see somebody looking at that 29,000 and some change that we have, and they might want that.
Yeah, so. I can see 70 posts on Carver helping Carver.
All right, so I will simply write up the end of the year report.
I think that's probably, it's our budget's like it just fluctuates. Our outgoing is matched by the income, because really the only income we're getting at this point is from the redevelopment to reimburse. So there's nothing really that we're doing. We're not purchasing things. We're not selling things.
Right.
For forestry. That's this year.
All right. If that was ever part of it, then we would include that in our end of the year report.
Right.
Okay. So I'll write something up. I just had a note to ask Joanna about that. Joanna, do we need to sign checks for our secretaries?
Yeah, I was going to say, we need two signatures, and our new, there's three of us. I don't know if our new people want to go to the bank and sign in the way you guys had to sign in. I'm not sure. We do have us three, if that's okay, but you or I or Savory has to go into the town hall and sign the checks anyway.
All right. Two signatures. Where will they be and when?
Say what?
Where will the checks be? Who will have the checks, and when will they be there?
Well, Deb
Jim,
Deneen has the checkbook. We just have to. Deb Deneen has the checkbook, and you just go to the counter. She'll bring out, give you the checkbook, and you just have to sign.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Savory, do you want to do that?
Yeah, I have a conservation site walk tomorrow morning, so I'll swing by town hall before I go and do that.
And Joanna, who makes them out?
I'll go in there and write. I'll put my signature, and then I'll write it out. So
okay.
All right.
So does he need to sign two? What do we need? How many do we need?
Well, Kelly is the one that needs to get we only pay the secretary. Jim doesn't have any outstanding bills to give us, do you, Jim?
No.
No.
Okay.
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 So it would just be for Kelly.
Okay, so get,
I don't know if we should sign 3 or 4 of them so we don't have to keep doing this.
I am all in favor of that, but,
It's a little, yeah, it's something,
I mean, I think we can get a second signature on there.
Yeah.
Because someone has to go in clearly and write out the check. But if we already have a second signature on there, Savory wants to sign, say 3 to cover at least our expenses with our secretaries, assuming that's the only thing coming up. Then
Right.
if Joanna goes in and actually fills out the check and does the
and
second
sign
signature,
it. Right, exactly.
then I think that might be easier.
I'll sign enough checks to get us to the spring.
We can do that. I like that.
Fine.
And then we'll all be meeting again and we'll have the book with us.
Right.
Okay, is there anything else? Any other new business that we want to discuss? Anybody have anything?
I just want to, Jim, you had mentioned earlier that we got a check in from the Redevelopment Authority.
That's correct.
Okay, so that you got to get to Joanna so she can, or we got to get it into the bank, right?
Well, actually,
Or is it direct deposit?
it's actually the check goes to the town because the MassWorks grant is a town grant. And so
Okay.
developers covering the matching funds for that particular grant.
Oh, okay. So that's for the that's for the intersection. Okay.
Right.
Right.
All right. Joanna, you said we had 600 and something left in the checking account. Should we move money into that?
Well, I don't foresee, unless Jim can tell us, we seem to have done everything that we need to, except for the secretary. I don't see any new expenses.
Right. So I think,
Well, we'll have the expense of the sign coming up.
That's minimal compared.
I'm thinking big sign.
Oh, you want a big one? Oh,
You're going to have to go in front of planning.
Oh man, if only I know someone.
how big is the sign? I'll find.
Well, you know what? We'll discuss the cost. We'll have an estimate by next meeting, and then we'll move the money then.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. That sounds good.
Let me look up and to see. I'll look up in zoning to see what's allowed by right over in general business.
So I just have a question for Jim. Seeing how that this $100,000 check has to do with the Mass Works, you're gonna receive this check, you're gonna deposit it to the town?
so you're talking about the $100,000?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the MassWorks grant is to the town. So the developer is paying the matching funds to the town.
Right.
He's paying them in kind of $100,000 increments. So
Okay.
we used up about just before Christmas. We had about $93,000 expended to VHB, and so we got a message from finance saying, "Hey, we better get another allotment of money." So we reached out to Route 44 Development, and they sent us another $100,000 check.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
We don't worry about any.
So that's just more. That's more of an update on the urban renewal project, and not any monies directly to the RDA.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Joanna, I don't know when the last time you were in Rockland Trust, but you know you have to make an appointment to get into the lobby now.
Really?
Yes, you do. You
Yeah.
have to call them.
Oh
The
my
lobby is
God.
not open. You have to call them to make an appointment to go in. The only thing that's open is the drive-through.
Oh, well, the last time she told me I could use the drive-through. They would, if I had anything to deposit or transfer.
Right, but you wanted to go ask her about the audit, whether she needed it or not.
That's true. That's true.
You
And
just make sure that you call first, because they probably won't let you in.
okay. Well, that's good. Good. I can pretty much do it over the phone anyway. But
Yeah, that's
let's
true.
see.
Is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report as written?
I'll make the motion that we accept the treasurer's report as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That being unanimous.
Sharon, it's Kelly. I'm sorry. Who was the second one for that motion?
Paul.
Paul,
Okay.
To ask Kelly, do you have a copy of that treasurer's report so you can submit it?
I don't. And also, Joanna, what was the amount again on the checking account? Was it $640 and what was the cents?
$640.59. Kelly, if you can give me your email, I'll make sure you get it.
Oh, sure
I
thing.
can send it to her, Joanna.
Oh,
Okay.
good. Okay.
Okay, send Kelly the treasurer's report.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, after that, we only have the minutes of our November 10th meeting, our minutes of the December 4th and 1/5 were our select board and RDA joint meeting. And I don't have separate minutes for those. And I think what they're going to do is generate minutes from the selectmen meeting for our section, for which I'll have at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
Cool.
Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from November 10th?
Yeah, I have a few, just a spelling, two things.
Okay,
And it says here, I always thought the word was infrastructure. On page, she don't have a page. It's 10, 15, 16 in the top of that page. He's talking of the notes say he would identify underlying environmental issues and constraints due to lack of info structure. I thought the word was infrastructure.
It is.
okay, so we have a typo on what is the third page.
Right, and then underneath that, the next sentence,
Oh, same
it
thing.
says, it says, you see it there, it's right, info. And then the talking about the coming down to B, same page, coming down, she's talking about the applicant is Paul Costas. It's Kostas.
Oh, you're right.
I'm used to that.
You are? So those were the only two changes as far as, everything else looked intact. I found myself, I think I asked so many questions, I didn't realize it, but I guess I did.
No. It was a good meeting.
Very informative. Yeah.
Is there any other questions or concerns on those minutes?
No.
Is there a motion to accept the minutes as written with the changes that Joanna has pointed out?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Kelly, can you take care of those changes?
I will, and I'll send you a copy.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any specific comments anyone wants to make before we set our next meeting?
No.
I'll reiterate that I'm thrilled to have Paul and Pat here.
Yes. So are we all.
Thank you.
And
Means the other two of us gonna miss a meeting here and there.
Oh, Madam Chairman, I have a comment to make. 2020, if I may.
oh, go ahead, Joanna.
Savory and myself, Savory has a different role as far as coming back to the board is through the governor's side. Mine is to be reelected. And I guess I'm going to have to pull papers. I'm not happy about that, but I guess I gotta. I guess I get a check with Kara Dayhill, or her name is, about, do you know when all that starts?
So you need
And I'm
to
concerned,
run
with
here,
COVID.
Pat needs to run and Paul needs to run.
Oh, that's
Wow.
right. I'll have company. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Ron and I were talking about it today. We don't know if there's going to be any changes with the state election board or our local election on COVID restrictions as far as circulating papers. But I will look that up and I'll make sure that Kara gets that information to all of you.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I think you can start pulling papers pretty soon. You need, I believe, 50 signatures.
Okay.
I will certainly be happy to help people, but I don't know. I'll take, like all three and then we just go around. But I mean, there's the whole thing about, do we need to carry 50 different pens with us, to be able to give a clean pen to each person who signs the paper?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I don't think we'll be doing any standouts or anything like that. So the election will be, I assume, in April again. Papers usually have to be turned in by the first 10 days of March-ish, kind of. I don't know the exact dates. But let me look into it and I'll get back to all of you if they're changing, if they're making any changes, but I will get back to you on the specific dates.
Okay.
Okay. It's easy, it's easier probably for Kara if one person asks her and we just get one set of answers and I'll just make sure everybody knows. But yeah, we have what looks to be a full slate going into,
right.
And Paul will be running for 1 year and Pat will be running for 4 and you will be running for 5, Joanna.
Yeah, exactly. I've been on this committee for a long time.
Tagging on to what Joanna said, as Joanna pointed out, I'm the governor's appointee. Jim, have you looked into that and what has to happen next for me to get reappointed?
Yeah, I think it was in the fall when we were talking about that, and we had Rick there, and we mentioned it to him, but I'm not sure. I don't know what that process is.
It's in the minutes. It's right here. Rick asked you to give him his, it says it right here. Vice Chairman Moore received 2 letters regarding his expiration of term from the RDA. The letters provided 2 different dates with his appointment, April 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2021. Rick LaFawn asked the Vice Chairman, how come you get recognition, Vice Chairman? I'm treasurer. I don't get any recognition here. Okay. So Rick LaFawn asked Vice Chairperson Moore to send him a copy of the letters to follow up.
Which I've done.
You're on.
Which I've done.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
It's probably a case that we should get on to Mr. LaFawn to follow up on it. He's going to be going into, budget season and town meeting season pretty soon here. So we need to know if you're in April or a June.
Well,
because that's the question, right?
The letter from the governor's office said April. So
okay.
I would follow that if I were you. Kind of coincides with what we're doing here too.
Yeah.
All right. Savory, do you want to talk to Rick or do you want me to send a letter or want me to call him?
I'll see if I can find him tomorrow when I'm there.
Okay.
I'll bring in a hard copy of the letter too, just so
bring in scan a hard copy. I would say scan a hard copy, get that to Elaine Weston because she may be the person to follow up on it.
Right.
By email. Sometimes in this situation, you can't ask them or remind them enough.
Right. I
meant no disrespect to anybody watching this, but that's just the way it is.
I just remember it wasn't a convoluted process, but it was a rather lengthy one. And
right, it might be just a paperwork issue. So
I had
to
fill out a 17-page form.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it was basically all about whether I was employed in a business that I could benefit from by my decisions on the RDA. But every answer was I'm retired. So none of the questions made any difference, but I still had to answer them anyway.
All right, well, you'll follow up on that and I'll follow up on that and we'll see if we can't get some resolution.
Okay, great.
Good luck.
Thank you.
We stand out and get signatures.
Yep, and we'll have plenty of time, Joanne. So let me look up to see if they're going to be doing anything different about requirements.
Yeah,
too.
that would be good. I was thinking about what.
Because last year, we didn't go into quarantine till after signatures were due.
Oh, really?
So,
Oh.
yeah, signatures closed around March 10th. And we went into quarantine towards the end of the month. So it wasn't an issue then, but it might bear needing to be discussed now. Okay, set our next meeting date. I have February 9th. Does anyone have an issue with that?
No,
Let me check.
Everyone look at your calendars. Wait, we lost Savory.
he's getting his calendar, I think.
I am getting my calendar.
February 9th, second Tuesday of the month. Okay.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
My
fine.
wife's birthday, but I'll make it work, you know?
What's that?
It's his
My wife's
birthday.
birthday, but I'll make it
Your
work.
wife's birthday.
It is.
So it is we're gonna
Well,
be
we'll do it early and we'll be fast. So
what do you mean early? 5:30?
5:30. 5:30.
Okay.
All right, I make a motion that we have our next meeting on Tuesday, February 9th at 5:30 via Zoom. Via Zoom.
Second.
Is that good for you, Jim?
Yes, that'll work.
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Wait. So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor of adjourn, please say aye.
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 I think we're supposed to raise our hand, right? Supposed to raise your hand, right? Okay.
If anybody wants to continue this, please say now.
No.
Okay, at this point, we're adjourned till February 9th.
Okay,